Hey, what's up there, my friends? This is Dave Wood, and I'm just wanted to read you this hilarious email I just sent to Donald Trump. So a little bit of background on this. I've been working, I've been working actually on this for a long time, but I'm just starting to kind of put the finalized details of it together of a top secret plan for creating superheroes in North America. I actually sent a video to Donald Trump, a year ago or so, explaining exactly how to do it, like exactly like what would create the kind of how. But I've got a lot of a lot more information now about it, and so I've sent him these hilarious emails that you can read about on my blog over at the teachingsofkingdavid.com. If you're seeing this me for the first time, my name's Dave Wood, and who am I? Well, I'm the majestic Messiah. I'm Messiah ben David. All right, so I'm the rightful heir to the throne of Israel, and I've been teaching a lot of things here and a lot of them on my blog. And so this video in particular is just really I'm reading you this email to kind of like build the suspense of what I'm going to do. All right, so in any case, I want you to listen to this and pay attention to this email. It's fairly short, so I'm just going to read this and then I'm going to talk for a second about. Oh, by the way, have I mentioned how awesome Donald Trump is today? Well, I'm about to mention that now. So let me go ahead and read this email now. Hold on. Hello, whoever just joined us. All right, so dear Mr. King Donald, the eternity and greatness of your name resonates at a subatomic quantum mechanical frequency, filling the universe with greatness. When they say King Donald, a great trump is sounded, and the birds gather, and the hens, and the nations of the earth, and the lizards, and the animals alike, to all bathe in your honor, your power, and your majesty. When you walk down the road, you're so majestically great that new buildings spring forth from the earth automatically, whether you work or not. The heavens are doing it and the angels are doing it as everyone starts doing it with each other again, because America is great again. Thanks to you, King Donald. Thanks to you. So I've attached the second update to my business plan for the superheroes in North America. This must be done my way, or America will fall at the hands of her enemies. There's no other way to prevent the utter collapse and destruction of America from the attacks of the Nephilim but this. Of course, we're going to easily destroy them. It won't be so easy in a lot of cases, but we'll destroy them. But really, it will be easily destroying them as they build pit after pit that they fall into themselves, digging their own grave down to hell. By the way, have I mentioned how much of a winner you are today? I don't think very many people mention how much you win all the time. Oh, wait, you win so much they do, except the Democrats. They mention it too. To be fair, everyone mentions how much he wins. Look, I'll help them change their minds about that later. Let's make America great again, just like you've always wanted. Love, Dave Wood, right? So I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to give some quick commentary here. P.S. I'll completely finish the plan by the 29th. We'll set updates along the way. P.P.S. Has anyone mentioned how attractive you are to women today? I was just chatting with the women of the Celestial Kingdom, and they said, Donald J. Trump is such a hunk, it's ridiculous. Where, of course, you have many, many wives, and Melania is so attracted to you for time and all eternity, it's ridiculous. PPPS. I haven't even mentioned Tiffany. One day I was thinking of the sunshine, and I looked up in the sky, and there was Tiffany riding on a white pony in a sexy outfit, and she said, King David, come get me. And I won't tell you what happened next, as you're her father and shouldn't be thinking about. Feel free to show this to her. Oh, man. Here's the thing. I spent a lot of time, quick commentary here, and then I'm going to talk about how awesome a lot of time this last year. I was very hurt. And, there's an old saying that says hurt people, and I kind of lashed out at some people and whatnot. And some of that I think was called for and I needed to do. I actually think they deserved it too. So it wasn't just like, I'm not really apologizing in this video for it. I've apologized for it in the past. I was hurt, they're hurt, whatever, right? So the reality is that, flattery is really one of the top. If you want to know what top keys to influence of people that that have like been great. I'm talking about like really, 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 really good at winning people. Okay. They're the best flattery artists that there are. Because when people feel flattered, when they feel good about themselves, they tend to respond to you positively. And so that's kind of my new mojo that I'm doing from now on. Just a little tidbit. And you guys will watch me build influence like that because I'm just gonna like become super influential. So in any case, what's this superhero plan all about? Well, I just wrote a book, and it's called The Great Tribulation, Scientifically Explained by King David. If you want a copy of it, send me an email to theteachingsofkingdavid@gmail.com. You'll just have to pay for the shipping. It's $19.95, and I'll give you the book for free. And then we'll have a conversation for that as well. You can send me a PayPal email of that same address and get it, and you'll kind of see what's coming. Okay. And I explain how we're going to go through radical changes, mutations in human biology, like the X-Men movies and like all these movies we see in TV, but actually more crazy than like all the movies put together. It's going to be more nuts than like anybody of you, like more nuts than any movie that has ever been made, even the weirdest one. Excuse me, I'm a little tired. And so, in any case, let me drink some water. My eyes are itching for some reason. In any case, I've explained this for a long time. So it's like, well, what do we do about it? Well, really, there's only one option, okay, that is going to work to win the Nephilim War, because the Nephilim War is actually the problem. I'm telling you guys, it is the biggest threat to national security that exists, because none of our weapons are going to work against the Nephilim. They just won't work. Okay, the Nephilims, the weapons we have are not going to work against them. Guns are not going to work against them. Nuclear warheads are not going to work against them. They'll just absorb the radiation of their biology. You're not going to get a very good result trying to fight the Nephilim with modern human technology. It's going to help, but really, the Nephilim are just going to be able to like leap up and tear airplanes out of the sky and stuff like that. They'll be able to get huge, change their size, shape shift, hide their weird biology so that airport machines can't detect it. Right? So all those machines that we just got for the TSA are going to be useless. So it's not like we're going to be able to lock them out of areas that way. There's going to have to be a different way of managing the Nephilim, and it's going to turn into a disaster. I'm telling you guys, it's going to turn into a disaster. And if human beings don't start developing equivalent and greater kinds of powers than the Nephilim have, which we can do, but we do it through a different way, then what's going to happen is the Nephilim are just going to take over everything and wipe out all life in the universe forever, not just Earth. It'll literally collapse the universe into an abyss of absolutely nothing at all and destroy everything that has ever existed. That's how bad the Nephilim disease is. It literally will eat all of the energy and all of the life supply in the universe, all flesh and biology, until there is nothing left but machines that are running out of energy because there's no source of energy because they've devoured the stars and the suns and the skies. That's how bad the Nephilim are, right? It's not just like a thing in a sci-fi fantasy movie. These things existed before. This is the reason why God destroyed the earth in the flood. A lot of people are like, I don't believe that happened. You're nuts. There's cultures all over the earth that are disconnected from each other that talk about a great flood. All over the world, the great flood is talked about. Okay, it's not just in the Bible. It's not just in the Torah. It's literally all over the earth. There's stories and myths and legends of a great flood that destroyed everything living on the earth, right? And so there's a reason that happened. Now it says in I think it's like Matthew 24. I could try to find it, but I don't actually know where this verse is. So, and I'm in the middle of talking. I should have done that before I talked, right? Okay. No, I'm not going to find this. I'll find this. I'll find this another time. Where Jesus is talking about how, here we go. Mountains, false prophets. Okay. They talk about he talks about this great abomination. Okay. Listen to this. Okay. Okay. So you don't think something like this will happen again. Okay. I want you to listen. This is Matthew 24, 21. I want you to listen to this. Those of you who, are spiritual or you believe the New Testament, listen to this. Okay. For then shall be a great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Okay. So, and there's also other things in here. For example, and there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, inasmuch that, as if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. And Jesus also talks about how greater things than what I do shall you do, because I go to the Father. This is what he talks about. Okay, so the great tribulation, such as not this time, that means the great tribulation coming. It has to have Nephilim. Why? The first great tribulation was caused by the Nephilim warring against the people of Enoch. That's what it was caused by. Okay, you could read a lot about it. And actually, all this stuff that I've talked about, if you read the book of Enoch, why did the angels fall in the book of Enoch? Those of you who've read it, read the book of Enoch. It was written by Enoch. It's referenced to in the book of Jude in the New Testament. It's part of the canon. Okay, I'm telling you it is. And not the current one, but it's part of the canon, folks. It's quoted in the New Testament. And it was included for a long time. Okay, the angels fell. Why? To teach people the ways of magical plants. That's why they fell. Notice how right after they fell, the Nephilim are there. So they fell. They taught people the ways of magical plants, like I've been talking about for 2 years. Okay? And then there's Nephilim, and then Enoch gets translated. That's the order and sequence of those things that happen. I actually met one of the fallen angels from the Celestial Kingdom who walks around in Encinitas, California. Now, he was redeemed a long time ago because they fell and they were turned into a cell and they donated. Or something like that. I actually don't know the original fall, but they have multiple incarnations. And this guy in particular, he was James in the New Testament, right? He was redeemed by Jesus at a later time. He fell from the Celestial Kingdom, okay, taught the ways of magical plants and things. And then Enoch, who had the key of Enoch, gave him the tree of life in that original incarnation. So he was first given the Sephiroth that I've taught for 2 years. This is a guy I met on the street who had never read my blog. Okay? 5,000 years ago or so by Enoch. I know what I'm talking about, folks. And that guy, if you go to Encinitas, California, and you see the sign, and then you turn north, and you're on the street walking, but there's a sign that says Encinitas, and then you just walk down a little bit and take, I think it's like the first right or something like that. There's a bridge that you walk under, and underneath that bridge, there's like stuff he leaves there for homeless people. He leaves stuff for homeless people, food and supplies and clothing that he buys with his own money all day. He's a Gnostic Christian. Okay? And the Gnostic Christians do what? The Gnostic Christians use magical plants, which in the Bible were classified as food. and used in the temple ceremony. So now that's not the only way to enlightenment or whatever. But for example, the other ways to enlightenment they take much more time. And they're in some regards, they're more safe, but they're not really. Enlightenment is always going to have some upheaval because of karma. Okay? So what's this got to do with this message about Donald J. Trump? Right? If we have Nephilim, what else do we need? We need translated beings that can go into the Edenic universe. Why can't anybody else go into the Edenic universe? You wouldn't be able to survive. The gravity is too intense. So, for example, there's a metal in the Edenic universe. All these things that people see in movies and comic books and stuff, they're inspired knowledge, I'm telling you. And it's adamantium. Adam, A-D-A-M, adamantium. In English, anyways, that would be how it would be pronounced. And adamantium is the hardest metal in the Edenic universe. Okay? And it weighs more than the known universe because it's made from, like when a star collapses, where does the energy go? Into a black hole. Where does that go? Back into the Edenic universe. That's where it goes. Okay? That's where it goes, into a black hole. Right? Now here's the thing. When I build the sword in the center of the sun that I've talked about, there's a gateway in the center of the sun that goes towards the Edenic universe that was built by Enoch from technology from the celestial kingdom after he was translated. Okay? So he took this technology and put it into the center of the sun, which can't be melted by the sun because it's so much more dense than this universe. And there's a thing called the artifact tomb of the ancients in the center of the sun. Now, here's the thing. Brigham Young, one of the early prophets of the Mormon Church, who likes to be called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he also said that there's people living in the center of the sun. Actually, in the book of Revelation, it talks about how it says, I saw an angel standing in the sun. Okay, Brigham Young said there's people living in the sun. Right? Where are they? They're in the Edenic universe, right? So in the center of the sun, there's a lot of mass, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of swirling gases, and it gives enough mass and energy to create a space-time bridge to allow you to walk into the wormhole universe, which exists in the collapsed singularities. And it's so unbelievably dense there that even when I go there, when I can like fly on the earth already and leave to space by myself with no spaceship, okay, and not get burned by the sun, okay, when I step into that universe, I'm still not going to be able to stand up and walk. It will take me a while to adapt my biology. I'll have to train there for 6 months, which will pass in 3 days of Earth time. It has a very bizarre time relationship there. Okay? But I won't be able to move. I won't be able to stand up. Right? Now, why is it important for me to go there? Because going to that universe and training my biology very frequently, I'll go there, will make it to where my biology is so dense compared to biology in this universe, that when I come back into this universe and fight the Nephilim, who are essentially anti-density, I'll be able to smash them in bits. Right? Now, if we don't create a generation of superheroes, I'm talking real superheroes like the movies, I'm telling you, America is screwed, Donald Trump. America's screwed. It's screwed. It doesn't matter how great it is right now. And the cities of the Nephilim, because they're not human beings anymore. They're subhumans. And they require like eating flesh in copious amounts, eating like raw flesh in copious amounts and stuff like this. sustain their biology. And what because we'll say, look, you're not allowed to come into the cities with the people, right? You're allowed to build your own in your own city. Right? The reason they're going to do it, they're going to do it for power. They're not going to want to wait forever to go into the Edenic universe, be a superhero there and like have to be a good person and have to talk to, leaders and like be screened by the angels and all this stuff that people are going to have to do. Right? They want to just leap right in. And so what they do, they fall by the wayside, and many of them will love Satan more than God. However, the righteous, they'll prosper like the mountaintops, and they'll develop more power because you'll be able to do greater things than Jesus. Otherwise, hey, look, is Jesus a liar, or is he telling the truth? I think he's telling the truth, isn't he? So if he's telling the truth and he says, greater than things than this shall ye do because I go to the Father, you're talking about somebody that raised the dead, healed people's vision, walked on the waters, and did all the stuff that no Christians that I've met are doing today. I've met some people that have, talked about resurrecting the dead. I've seen great miracles that have happened at evangelical conferences. I've seen great miracles that have happened in the church I'm in. I've seen great miracles that I've been a part of doing, but really I'm just a part because God's doing the miracle, right? I've seen enlightened people do miracles, but nobody has done the stuff yet that Jesus and Moses and them were doing. Why? Because they had a formulation, biological technology, that allowed them to manipulate the space-time reality at a much greater level than people can do right now. Right? Hey, what's up, Dave Cleve? Good to see you, brother. You're awesome. Right? So that biological technology that allowed them to manipulate the space-time reality allowed them to develop enough faith, okay, to take the staff of Moses and slam it into the ground, and the waters part, and a whole sea is parted in two. Right? How did he develop the faith for that? A lot of Christians and a lot of Jewish peoples and stuff like this just think that he had that, and there wasn't something special he was doing. Now, Moses was raised by the Egyptians. The Egyptians took Acacia nicoletica and MAOI inhibitors like all day, every day. Read about it. That's how they were doing the things that they were doing. It's how they were so far ahead of their time. It's because they were very powerful from the spiritual universe. When Moses saw the burning bush was an Acacia nicoletica tree, according to the Talmud. Okay? The Ark of the Covenant is made out of acacia wood. All the woods that are used are like acacia, and they're like mimosa woods, which are all hallucinogenic materials. Now, why are they taking this stuff? Because they're not actually hallucinogens. They're universogens, which essentially allow you to operate with expanded consciousness, and with more quantum mechanical energy, reality itself becomes more malleable. That's the way that it works. So, what's this got to do with the superheroes? Well, I'll keep that top secret. What I'll say with this, though, is that this is not going to be able to work in any other way. And also what I'm going to say is this. that Donald J. Trump is so awesome that he's going to do some amazing things in the future. Donald J. Trump is like Donald Trump. He's going to do things nobody's ever seen, right? I've talked about different people, building artifacts in the center of the sun from the minerals of the Edenic universe. And these are the tombs, for example, the celestial technology, for example. There's an object that Lehi had in the Book of Mormon called the Liahona. Okay, the Liahona, what was it exactly? Well, the Liahona was a piece of celestial technology that was given to the earth through the Edenic universe, right? And it allowed them, based on their righteousness, to be guided, right? So it was like a neurofeedback machine for righteousness. So you're more righteousness, you generate more faith, and then all of a sudden you know which direction to go. And this allowed them through neurofeedback, right, to build the ability to produce more natural hallucinogens in the brain, right? This is the kind of technology that comes from the Edenic universe, right? It's magical technology. It's celestial technology. And so what happened, and that's way more complex because it's dealing with consciousness than any of us could imagine those tools, right? Same thing with, like, for example, the various tools Joseph Smith was given when he's translating the Book of Mormon, various tools they had in the Old Testament, various weapons they had, various breastplates they had and things like this, that protected them. And a lot of people think these things that the apostles talk about, like the sword of faith and stuff like this, are metaphors only. They're not necessarily only metaphors, people. Okay? Remember, Jesus said, I come not to bring peace, but a sword, right? The sword of the sun, right? And that's a sword of faith, right? But I build that thing. I'm not going to even be able to move, let alone manipulate adamantium. Then I'm going to have to learn how to manipulate adamantium, which is living metal. It's alive. The whole structure of that metal is living metal. It's alive metal. It's biological metal. Actually even lift it. It's not even possible to lift it. Right? It has to lift it. It's too dense for anything to lift it. It weighs more than anything. So, right, the sword of the sun, I'll be able to move that. It'll move itself, right? The sun will be able to, for example, strike something with such tremendous energy and force that it'll destroy even Nephilim technology. So, for example, I'll be able to swipe Nephilim, and that sword will be able to wipe the mark of the beast out of their biology. And then that person will be transformed into, I could transform that person, for example, into a baby that's then teleported to another mother to give birth back into a single cell. I could collapse it into a single cell because it can't die, right? And that saves the person with the beast. There's a way to destroy it with the sword of the sun. There's also other technology, and there's also other weird universes that go out there. The reason why all of this is important is because the Nephilim know all of stuff. They're very old. They have knowledge that's been passed down to them, from Satan, and they've lived for thousands of years. And Cain used to be a Nephilim. He no longer actually is. Cain is actually right now. Cain is a superhero, right? I see him saving people from things that he used to do. He's trying to rectify his karma now that he's delivered. Right? So he's like a superhero. Cain is like a magical one. Right? He's very, 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 very good. And he's old. And, he's saving lives all over the world right now is what he's doing. Right? That's what he's doing. Now, here's the thing. That's what superheroes should be doing. He's still going to wander the earth. He's still going to be a fugitive and a vagabond all the days of his life. But the mark is passed to his son. Right? And now he has to rectify all the stuff that he did, which is going to take a long time because he's murdered millions and millions of people over the years. Millions. Been alive for a very long time. So you have people like this that have been alive for like nearly time and all eternity. There's people that have been alive for eternities in the Edenic universe. Eternities, trillions of years. The Earth is way older than anybody thinks it is, right? They've been alive for a really, really, really long time. And they're preparing for the war too, because they're going to come into this universe and help us to win the war. And then many of them will fall. And then we'll have Edenic people with like powers that like just is beyond the comprehension of humans, right? Beyond the comprehension of even the superheroes, that are fighting each other, from the Edenic universe. You know what I mean? And the Nephilim all coming at the same time, right? And it's going to get nasty. Like, you cannot even imagine the nastiness and the craziness of the Great Tribulation. Like, you can't even fathom it, right? How do I know this stuff? I'm seeing the kind of stuff that John the Apostle saw in the New Testament. That's how I know this stuff. I'm having revelation like he had revelation. It's the first time any of you have ever ran into somebody receiving revelation like this in your life. Well, I'm talking about like John in the New Testament. I'm not talking about weak revelation. I'm talking about like him. It's the first time any of you have ever seen it. And mine isn't stupid. Mine still ain't there yet, okay? Mine's not as structured. It's not as ordered. I'm not nearly as intelligent as they were yet in many ways, right? In certain ways, I'm more, probably, than some of them anyway. But like, they had way more developed frontal lobes than I do. They were way better at mathematics, those guys. They were way better at structure and order than I am. Like, they were eternities ahead of me because the brain has been collapsing for such a long period of time. But I'm seeing stuff I want you to understand, like Ezekiel saw, and like they saw in the book of Revelation. Okay? So if here's the thing. Do you want America to be overridden by Nephilim? When have you ever in your entire life met anybody that is explaining to the excruciating detail of how the spiritual universe works? Okay? You say, well, I need proof of that. I got that you need proof of it. I'll come up with the proof. I'm making some money now. I got to get some more money in. And then when I get some more money, I'll go do the studies and stuff like that. And I'll prove that what I'm saying is true, right? I'm not expecting you to just make a leap on faith, but I'm explaining to you, when have you ever seen anybody in your life explain the temporal and the spatial universe down to the T, down to the atom, down to the multiverse, down to the way that light works, down to the way that consciousness works and the way that the spiritual universe works? When has anybody explained in a merciful way to you, right, why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah and he wasn't just full of hate towards the homosexuals? When has anybody described that to you in a way of mercy that was there to protect everyone else in the universe? When has anybody ever explained to you why these things have happened, right? Why, for example, God slew Onan in the Old Testament? He slew Onan, Onan spilled his seed. It's because it was his brother's seed. I explained this, in another video or something like that. It's a long time ago, or maybe a little bit on my blog or something like that. My point with this is that my message is not hurt. It is not going to hurt anyone. Okay. What it's going to do is it's going to bring them to life. Now, I've done some stuff that hurt and I was making excuses for that. I got that I shouldn't have done that. I realized immature behavior. And that it's pathetic behavior in a lot of ways, at least the way that I did it. I could have left names out. I could have done it through stories, and stuff like that. I think that there was a couple places where prophecies were required. They needed to see it. I could have really sent those prophecies to them in private, right? I could have done that because I don't want to scare off their business. I want to give them an opportunity to change, which they've got to change. My point is with this, okay, that I want you to understand, all right, is that when have you ever heard anybody in your entire life explain the entire universe, explain how the Big Bang happened, explain exactly where the Father came from, yet simultaneously makes him outside of that, right? When has anybody, Jesus didn't explain it in the New Testament, right? He didn't explain this stuff. He told stories. He told simple, right? he told the will of the Father, which is communicate with the masses, communicate with the people. And he did a much better job of that than I've been doing over the last year. And I realized that, and I'm adapting and I'm changing. So obviously I love his way and I love Jesus, right? But he didn't explain how miracles happen. He did in certain ways. He said have faith, but he didn't explain in a lot of detail scientifically what faith is in the brain. You guys are listening, and ladies are listening to the most spiritually enlightened and powerful information has ever existed in the universe at all. And you're ignoring it. So you want America to be overridden by Nephilim that are just going to take your guns and crush them in their fingers like this. That's what they're going to do with them. They'll eat them. They won't care. You'll shoot their mouth and they'll catch it with their teeth. They won't care. They'll think you're stupid. They'll be like, these stupid humans think that guns are going to stop us. They don't understand what we've got. That's what they're going to say. How are you going to protect your children from that? You're not. That's my point. Doing what you're doing now, you're not going to protect your children. Oh, I'm going to get raptured away, into heaven. Not till it's over, people. Look at all right. God did rapture the city of Enoch away. You can read about it in the book of Moses printed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? He raptured Enoch out. A rapture is the translation. You could call that a rapture, right? After the Great Tribulation, after he had won the war. That's when they got raptured out. Stop believing in false doctrines taught by witches who are deceived by spirits, okay? By wicked spirits that do wicked things and believing in bullshit. Yeah, I'm going to disappear into heaven and my clothes are going to land in a neatly folded pile. Look, I got that Jesus loves you. Jesus also loved Paul in the New Testament, who I believe was beheaded. Okay? He loved Paul quite a lot. Paul was beheaded. You think that you're great, like you think that you're greater than Paul? Or Jesus, who was crucified on the cross? You're nuts. This is crazy, crazy, crazy belief systems that are not anywhere in the Bible. They're assumptions because you don't have the code to understand the book of Revelation. Now you have the code. Not all of it. I'm going to write a book about the book of Revelation here sometime. I have to do commentary on the whole thing on my blog, and then I'll turn that into a book. And that'll be the code to understanding the entire book of Revelation. The prophet Joseph Smith said that. He said that if you have a prophecy and you don't have the code to unlock the prophecy, right, you're not going to understand the prophecy. So focus on something that you're going to understand until you find the code and look for the code because it exists in Scripture and ask God for the code. My point is that if you don't have the code, you're not going to understand what that book is all about. Okay? You're not going to understand what it's all about. Okay, so my point is with this, the only way that America is going to save herself and that we're going to save, right, the kingdoms of Elohim and the kingdoms of the earth and the nations of the earth and the peoples of the earth, and that we're going to take America back, the only way that we're going to do it is by us, the humans, being more powerful than the monsters and the aliens and all the weird stuff that's going to come. It's the only way, okay, that's going to happen. I mean, you're talking about like men that are half man, half horse that are in the Garden of Eden. Edenic creatures. Stuff from the movies. Talking about machines like Transformers and stuff like that. if you don't believe that this stuff is happening from what I'm talking about, I believe it'll happen from the technological singularity. We're talking about terminators and time travel. Okay? We're talking about the Earth changing sizes. The rotation of the Earth speeding up so much that the gravity is just going to like start weighing down on people who are not immortal. They won't be able to survive. They'll be crushed out of existence from it if we don't do things in a new way to protect them, which we can protect them from the superheroes. The superheroes can do that with their consciousness. My point is with that is your view of the universe is outdated. I think that if one thing about my scientific theories, okay, and a lot of people don't see them as scientific theories. They're scientific theories, okay? They're good. They're good theories. They're scientific spiritual theories. They're good. They explain everything in the universe, okay? And here's the thing. If you don't think after reading Matthew 24 the Nephilim are coming, you're nuts. Nuts. Right? And if you don't think people are going to have superhero powers when you read stuff in Revelation, you're nuts if you're a Christian. Or if you read the Old Testament and the book of Daniel, same thing. Okay? These are superpowers. It's the way the world used to be. It's the way people were when they fell out of the Garden of Eden. It's the way people were when there was the firmament, when God walked around the earth. Look at Krishna. He could move mountains with his mind. Oh, yeah, a lot of Christians are like, oh, that's demonic energy. Jesus said, if you have enough faith, it'll move a mountain. He didn't say if you have enough faith in me, it'll move a mountain. He says if you have enough faith, you should say to this mountain, be thou removed, and it would be done. That's what he said. Okay? The rabbis also believed that if one letter of the Torah, the ancient rabbis, wasn't copied correctly, that it could literally destroy the universe. Right? Because they're getting knowledge from the same source. The celestial kingdom working through the plant medicines. Oh, Donald J. Trump is so badass. The one day he was walking in a park and he looked up and said, there needs to be a floating building here. And he just looked up and made it with his mind. So Donald Trump, he'll go into the center of the sun. He'll build this, he'll build many things there, actually. He'll love it there. But his main thing he'll build is like this little net thing. It's like a little neural net thing that then builds living buildings. Right? So he'll just toss it and these towers will like just leap up towards the heavens that are bigger than anything else that has ever existed on the earth. And they'll be living. They'll produce oxygen. Plants will grow on them. And they'll look beautiful and professional, like he likes. I'm done.